Hey everyone, welcome to Fresh Takes Events Unscripted. I'm Jennifer Selley, and on today's episode, we have Pashara Black, Director of Event Marketing at Fidelity Charitable. Pashara blends empathy and creativity, demonstrating how event marketing can be a vehicle for both human connection and social impact. Now let's get into it. Welcome to Fresh Takes Events Unscripted. Today, we've got Pashara Black, Director of Event Marketing at Fidelity Charitable. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Jen.
We're excited to connect with you today and talk. Really thrilled that you're here. But before we kind of dive into the professional world, let's get a little bit more about you personally. So, what's something people may not know about you that shapes how you show up as a leader?
Well, something that I think a lot of people don't know about me, I served in the Peace Corps
Oh,
about 10 years ago in South America. So I lived in a rural town in Colombia and lived with a family there, learned Spanish, and it's a big part of who I am now and how I show up in the world for sure.
that's amazing. What's like one of your biggest like stories or takeaways from it?
Being able to slow down, there would sometimes we would have rolling blackouts. And when those would happen, folks would just go sit on the front porch. I'd read a book. It's a time to be still and, being able to just kind of enjoy the present moment and be present. That's a big part of my time there and what I learned there. And I also learned so much about family and community. It's just such a warm and inviting place. So very, very fond memories of my time there.
I love that. Especially in today's world, I think taking a beat to slow down and like remember
hmm
that is probably key in what you do now. Uh, so you've built a career at the intersection of strategy and purpose, but how did you first find your way into event marketing?
So I think like a lot of event planners, I stumbled into it really. I went to college for something completely different. I was an international studies major. I had plans of going into foreign diplomacy and aid work, which does kind of come full circle to where I am now, but had completely different plans at that time. And so I was living in Washington, D.C. I was working for an economic development firm, and I'd gotten a job as an admin and executive assistant, which, I felt like was my foot in the door. And it was such a great learning opportunity for me. But as a part of that role, I began managing our on site event space. So, building out a revenue generating arm for the company to rent our space out to companies in the area because our office was at a beautiful location, just like a block away from the National Mall and had a view of the Washington Monument. So, we saw this as like, hey, folks would love to host events and meetings here. And so I began building out this portfolio and putting together like a deck that we could share around. Um, and at that time, the company I was working for also did two major trade shows a year. And while I wasn't on the marketing team, I pitched to my then manager saying, like, hey, I would love to go to this and get experience. I just saw how much work went into it on the front end and how excited everyone was about it. And, there was all the cool swag that was being created and the kind of wraparound events and experiences that were being put together. And so my manager said, well, if you rent out our space 10 times between, now and this date, it'll cover the cost of you going and you can go. And so, of course, I hit the goal and I went to this like huge Vegas trade show for the first time
Oh,
and
a Vegas
got to
one for the
do
first is a lot.
right. And so got to do all the like the receptions and I'm like, wait, this is a real thing and people do this for work. And so that's really when I think I got the urge to jump into that as a career and it just kind of grew from there for me.
That's awesome. I think so many of us fell into it or stumbled into it. I like that you said that. I always say like I fell into it. I moved to Orlando and just, that's what's prominent here and got
hmm
into it and yeah, it became a part of me really quickly. So I love that. And what a way to like really get in and be like, I want to do this, I want to go, and then like hit the goal and be able to go to Vegas for a trade show is really an experience for the first time.
Yes, just start it big. Start it big.
Yeah, exactly. Was there, an early experience or mentor that kind of helped you realize events could be really a true force for you?
So fast forward, I currently live in Durham, North Carolina, and after Peace Corps, I moved back to North Carolina. I was working at the Durham Chamber of Commerce, and at the time, again, I was not hired to plan events. However, the person who was hired to do so, it didn't work out, and so there was this vacancy, and I kind of was proactive to say, "Hey, could I take a go at this? Like, could I kind of keep the lights on until we figure out next steps?" But of course, in the back of my mind, my plan was to do it so well that I was able to continue doing it.
Yes.
And so, in that role, I was really fortunate to be under a leader who really empowered me and gave me the space to try things out. Like there were some events that did really well, there were others that did not. But it was okay. I was given the space to try and fail and learn. So I think about the leader at that organization really fondly because, without that space to kind of explore and really see what I could do in the event space, I don't think I would have been able to scale to where I am now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so, you get that one person early in your career that kind of gives you that space, gives you that freedom,
Hmm.
and you always think back to them. I have someone that I still think of, and she's still here local in the Orlando space, and so we do see each other and cross paths. And I'm always like, I was just so thankful now that I've like built a career because yeah, you don't realize it then at the time how big of an impact it's going to have on you and
Yeah.
your path. So kind of knowing that, have you always kind of because of the Peace Corps, did you always kind of fall in that realm of events with charity side, or did that just kind of happen for you?
So the two things were happening simultaneously for me throughout my life for sure. But this role that I'm currently in has kind of been a culmination of all of that and brought it all together. Like, throughout college and my early career, I've always been someone who has volunteered and, wanted to give back. And then along those lines, I've also always been someone who's been really interested in events. But again, I didn't realize that it was necessarily a viable career path. Like I think back on my time in college, my work study was working in a call center on campus, calling alumni to ask them to donate back to the school. And again, that ties into my present day work. But at the beginning of every shift, we'd have like a shift meeting, like 15 minutes or so, and everyone would like share announcements and things like that. And somehow I got into the habit of sharing with everyone things that were happening on campus. And so next thing I know, I was like keeping this robust calendar that I would prepare to share out. Like there's this event, this date on campus, and this person is coming to speak, and there's this club, and it just was something I enjoyed doing. And, my coworkers enjoyed receiving the information. And so it's just, I look back on that and I laugh because I literally just did it because I enjoyed doing it, not because I was thinking like, this is preparing me to get into, managing an event calendar one day.
That's so funny. I everything that you've been saying, you're always like, okay, well, this is what I was doing, but I took it up a notch because I wanted to in my aspirations, and I just love that. It's so inspiring. Can you share a story of an event that you've had that kind of created that unexpected emotional impact for someone?
Yeah, I can think of a recent event I did back in August. It was an intimate Jeffersonian dinner, which, I love the concept of like bringing people together around like a purpose or a topic and it being like highly curated. People feel so special to be included. And coming out of that, the conversations were so rich and they led into, additional relationships being built, business relationships being built. And so just being able to kind of be a fly on the wall and partake in that conversation, that's one of the things I really love about event planning. We get to work with a lot of the senior leaders within our organizations, right? And so being able to have that exposure and be able to like bring their visions to life as well. But I think back on that just as it being a recent example, how much folks were willing to open up and how much people were able to find synergy beyond, synergy with their views and their thoughts around the topics.
It's so true. Events just really open the space for a lot of things, and I think a lot of people don't realize how big of an impact that what we do with the event world really does
Hmm.
can change and really impact. And that kind of goes into like you've dedicated years of service to Meals on Wheels in Durham and the Durham
Hmm.
Convention Center board, but what motivates you to invest so deeply in the community?
First and foremost, I'm born and raised here in Durham, so I think I feel just, I almost feel like it's just a part of what I'm supposed to do as an active citizen of this city. Community is what keeps cities running and thriving. Like that's very important, and I think that's like a common thread in Durham. It's a very community centric place to live. It's a very diverse place. People genuinely care here. So it's just great to be a part of that and contribute to that. And I think you just naturally want to contribute to that when you're a part of this community. More personally, Meals on Wheels of Durham is an organization that helped my family when my maternal grandfather was aging. And so I can recall being a teenager and seeing a volunteer come, rain or shine, to deliver a meal and just how much of a help that was for our family. And so having the opportunity to serve on that board, it really was like an ode to him and to the organization, and how they supported him, and how I got that board seat, working at the Durham Chamber of Commerce, and the executive director of the organization at the time sought me out. And I'm a very big advocate of opportunity meets you where you're doing the work, and it doesn't necessarily mean like stay head down and the opportunities will come. Like, yes, you also have to amplify your work. But I think because I was doing good work, she saw something in me and provided me with this opportunity that helped me grow professionally tremendously. So much so, like I came into that volunteer board seat feeling like I didn't frankly have much to offer. And so like having that support behind me of not just the ED, but also the fellow board members, and seeing value in what I brought to the table, it really helped me grow as a leader and grow my confidence as a leader.
That's so big. I think the confidence in like building that in different ways makes you just a 10 times better leader. Have any of those experiences also kind of helped shape your approach to like team building and collaboration as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the great things about being on a board, it's really a test ground for you to be able to find your voice. It's just a little, not that you're showing up and giving any less to your board work, but it's just a little less pressure, because everyone there is ultimately a volunteer. Everyone's heart is in the good place. You're doing mission driven work. And so being able to have that space to expand and explore as a leader has definitely helped me like in my full time work and how I come back. And also, I've had, colleagues who'll say, like, I donated to Meals on Wheels because of you. Or every year at Fidelity Charitable, we have a contest called the Make More of a Difference, where associates actually nominate nonprofits to receive a grant. And I won a grant for Meals on Wheels 3 years ago now. And so just mobilizing my colleagues, and just, sharing my story. Everyone's so passionate about the nonprofits they care about, of course, but just sharing my story and getting them excited about it. I think that it also just adds a human element to you as well. Like you don't want to show up to work one dimensional. And so folks knowing like there are things I care about outside of these four walls, I feel like it makes you a better leader and colleague.
Absolutely. What a full circle moment for you that like to be
Hmm.
able to experience that and then being on the board. You're right. You're so right on the board. I am on an industry board for the first time this year in my career, and it has just given me so much more confidence and kind of opened my eyes to things that not that I was, head down in the four walls kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, but you just, taking it outside of your element and that pressure, because it is volunteer. Everyone wants to be there. And so it's really kind of helped kind of open my eyes a bit, I think, more to where my next like steps and paths and how I want to show up as a leader for sure.
Love it.
So every leader has kind of those make or break moments that define them. So is there an event or project that stands out as a defining moment for you?
Yeah, I think back to, and I refer a lot back to my time at the Durham Chamber, primarily because it's really where I like cut my teeth, if I were to give an analogy. But I can recall launching a women's conference, and it was the most complex event I'd done up until that time in my career, having like multiple speaker tracks and an exhibit area and a dinner, a pre-event dinner for VIPs and bringing in sponsors and the whole drill. And I was fairly young, but again, I was given this space to like dream big. And there ended up being a competing women's conference that was going to take place on the exact same day, which I don't know if you're familiar with Durham, but it's a smaller city. And so there's only but so much of an audience to pull from. So it's kind of like, is anyone going to show up? And so I really leaned into like my marketing and promotion for it. And it ended up being a huge success. And so coming out of that, I think it just really like it gave me the steam to, or it gave me the mindset rather of I can do this. I can do this and more. And I always love the concept of like if I can think of one idea, I can think of 10 more. And so I really always just lean into that and try and draw from that like well of confidence, I guess you could say, like when I'm up against a challenge or trying to figure out like a complex event. But that was really a turning point for me, I think, when I said, okay, I want to do this. I want this to be my like primary work. And I think I'm good at it.
That's awesome. I actually am familiar with North Carolina. I lived in Greenville, North
Oh
Carolina
yeah,
for
okay.
about a year and a half. I moved up
Hmm.
there in my early 20s for a job, actually, and
Okay.
dabbled in North Carolina. I loved the people. I loved the state. My heart was still back in Orlando. And so I came
Yeah,
back to
I hear
Orlando.
that. Nothing wrong with that.
No, it was so much fun though. And I was there over a winter, and when they were like, everything shuts down when it snows. And I was like, no, no, everything shuts down when it snowed.
Oh
And
yeah.
it was an
Oh yeah.
experience.
Yes. Yes, that
I
is
was
very true.
not prepared for it, but I was at a hotel at the time, and we made the best experience of it for everyone in that hotel because everyone stayed. Uh,
Hmm.
so you said before that events are your medium of a choice, which I love, but what is it about live experiences that keep you energized?
I think it's the people, we're in this time of AI that is, the hottest topic on the speaker event circuit right now, of course. But as we look at AI, which I am a fan of, I see it as like a complementary piece of my work. I see it as a tool in my toolbox. But when we're looking at in-person events, there isn't anything that can duplicate that, like there's or replicate that, being able to go on site in person, connect with people, um, both internally and externally. Like I see a lot of value in when I'm going on site, the teams that I serve across our organization, whether it's like sales or relationship managers, et cetera, being able to be on site with them. The conversations I have with them are invaluable with how I approach my work. Like I can't just be behind a laptop, plowing away at project management spreadsheets. Like I need to be, I call it touching professional grass. I need to touch grass and to keep me grounded in my work. So being able to connect with colleagues, also being able to attend sessions, seeing like what topics are resonating, um, being able to connect with attendees, like better understanding the attendee experience, because that's ultimately why we're here. And just getting ideas on like how we can better show up, what's working, what's not. Because sometimes when you're not on site, your folks will say, "Oh yeah, it was great, everything was great," but then of course your event eye, you come in and you're like, no, that could be better. So I always appreciate being able to do that, and I think that's the beauty of in-person events. I don't think there's anything else that can provide that experience. And again, just as we move more and more into virtual worlds and AI, I think we're actually going to continue to see a resurgence of in-person events. I know we're seeing it with our portfolio, like particularly coming out of the pandemic, but I don't anticipate that it's going to slow down.
I agree. I think we actually crave the experiences more now with
Mm-hmm.
AI coming on because it's a tool and you've got to use it, but it is, I think people crave that experience now and that in-person meetings just so much more than I mean, I know COVID obviously had a lot to do with that, but I think even with AI now and, the remote work and all of the things, I think everyone
Mm-hmm.
just really craves that in-person emotion experience. Um,
For
so,
sure.
how do you balance strategy and heart in your event design?
Good question. I think first and foremost, I start with strategy. Um, and just by nature, the heart comes due to the audience we serve, the work that we do. I think being able to lead with strategy, ensuring that my events tie into organizational goals, that there are quantifiable KPIs associated with them, is really important to me. Um, and naturally the heart comes into that. And so just giving a real world example, perhaps it is ensuring that we're showing up at the right industry event with the right audience profile. There are quantifiable things we're looking at, like leads generated or meetings booked, et cetera. But then also maybe there's a heart component, like an on-site volunteer activity or a way to give back to charity. Maybe we're giving away what we call gift for givings, which is essentially a digital gift card to grant funds to an eligible charity. So, looking at, yes, we want the strategy to be in place as far as the ROI we're looking for, but then also how are we tying that back to the mission and our mission driven work?
That's awesome. I feel like a hard balance for a lot of people to kind of be able to tie both that make that ROI attainable, but be able to really tie into the mission. I think some people do it in a better way than others.
Yes, yes. It's one of my favorite scenarios is, you have the actual event execution piece and then you have like the marketing and promotion of it, and you need both. Like
Hmm.
you can have an amazing experience, but if no one shows up, then it doesn't matter. Or you could have, a huge amount of people show up, but if it's a bad experience, then you also didn't meet the goal. So it's like you can't forget one or the other. And I think the same applies with like the strategy and the heart. Like we within charitable, we have to ensure that we're hitting both.
Absolutely. So this kind of ties into that. So how do you see purpose and empathy kind of shaping the next chapter of event marketing?
Hmm. I think it ties back into, that in-person experience that folks are craving. Because it's not just being with others, it's being in community, it's being able to connect. And I think a lot of times that manifests in the form of empathy. Even if it's just as small as like, I had the worst flight delay getting here. And then you meet someone else who also had a bad flight delay, and you just immediately feel better because you can laugh about it. Is it a little bit of trauma bonding? Maybe, but also, you come out of that feeling like, okay, I'm not in this alone. And so, I think empathy is just naturally a part of in-person events, um, that just organically comes about.
Absolutely. I think some of the best relationships I've built in person have been a little bit of like we're laughing together over something that's like crazy or kind of a
Yes.
little trauma bonding, one of the two. Like you're like, I can't believe that happened, kind of thing.
hmm
I feel like
Or
that.
maybe it's the best
Oh,
experience.
yes.
Like, wow, that was one of the best meals I've ever had. Or could you believe that band? Like, it could be, something
Something,
positive as well.
and it can be something simple too, like a band. I will say a band makes all the difference sometimes in events and
Mm-hmm.
getting people out on like the dance floor. And if they're good, people will get out and dance every
Oh
single
yeah.
time.
I'm all about like a wow and delight moment. I always like to like keep a little surprise, a little something that, maybe even my like colleagues don't know is gonna happen. So like even they are there for the experience in my
What's
opinion.
what's a favorite wow moment that you've created?
See, I feel like I'm giving away my secrets.
So you can do a
Um,
past one and then people won't know that.
Yeah, well, so I'm thinking about a recent conference I went to support some of our senior leaders, and they were doing like a fireside chat. And so I had their questions printed on little like postcard size cue cards that had like the nice branding, like if they were like on a talk show, for instance. And it's not something we normally do, but when I handed them to them on site and they're like, oh, this is so nice, like thank you. And it just made it feel more polished. Maybe I'll keep like lapel pins in my bag that I'll hand out to folks, like to put on their suit, like little branded lapel pins, like things like that that they're not expecting. From like an audience perspective, putting things under their seats, little giveaways, maybe they're not expecting. So just looking for little moments for people to be surprised.
I love that. Well, we're kind of coming to a moment, which is one of my favorites, and it's our rapid fire style questions.
Yeah.
So I've got a few. We'll have a little bit of fun with it. Obviously, say the first thing that comes to your mind. But the first one up is what is your favorite type of event to plan?
Definitely in person, proprietary, small niche, 30 folks or less.
Oh, okay. I love that. What's the most inspiring venue that you've ever worked at?
Ah, gosh, woo, that's a good one. I've done some events on Martha's Vineyard, and it's such a
Ooh,
magical place. So I'm just gonna just Martha's Vineyard as a whole.
as a whole, I love that. What's your coffee order on event day?
Oh, iced vanilla latte with oat milk, and I'll treat myself to a venti. I'm not normally a venti girl, but
On event day, a venti is
oh
key.
yes.
Are you a first flight out in the morning or overnight flight?
First flight out. Oh yes. I have a young son. I need to get home to my baby.
Yes. What's one quality every great event professional needs?
That duck to water mentality, calm on top, pedaling underneath.
Yep. What is the biggest misconception about purpose-driven work?
That it can't be profitable or tied to quantifiable measurements.
Oh, that is good. If you could bottle up one emotion guests feel at your events, what would it be?
Included.
Love that. This might tie into the next question already, but a quote or mantra you live by.
Ooh, you have to know which balls are rubber and which ones are cement.
Ooh, I might steal that one. That's good. And I feel like it's one that you don't hear as much. I love that. What's your post-event ritual?
If it's virtual, like a webinar, I need to go outside and take a little walk. If it's like an in-person, on-site travel situation, I want a good meal and a good drink.
Feel good drink. I'm big on that. I gotta get outside. I gotta get that fresh air. Even
Hmm.
if it's not virtual, like sometimes when you're stuck in those conference centers and hotels, I'm
Yes.
like, I crave the fresh air.
Yeah.
And last but not least, but what is one piece of advice for someone that is entering the event world today?
Don't be afraid to network, reach out, message on LinkedIn. You never know who will be willing to reach back and provide you with opportunities.
I love that. That's so true. So, kind of as we're closing, I've just got a few more questions with you. But here at Imprint Event Group, we get to have our fun title because what we do in our event world is such a work hard, play hard mentality. So, what would your fun title be?
So I think my fun title would be Chief Serve a Look Officer because I
Ooh,
always try and dress to impress for my events.
I love that. We're going to need to get one of those on board. We don't have one yet. So,
It's a balance between like you want to be professional but also very comfortable. I can always tell
yes,
the events folks when I'm on site, it's like nice outfit and sneakers.
yes. I love that sneakers are like in now with like dresses.
Yes,
I'm a big
yes.
sneakerhead, so like everyone's always like, "Oh, like they always are prepared for some type of fun sneaker matching that is going to go with my outfit because I'm
Mm-hmm. Yep.
huge into it." Um, So if you're looking back, is there any piece of advice that you would tell your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to lean into the things that you just do for joy, the things you're not being paid to do, the things that you just organically navigate. Organically, gosh, I'm trying to think of the word. I'm going to repeat this, but the things that you just gravitate towards. I would tell my younger self to lean into the things that you just do for joy, the things that you just naturally gravitate toward.
Absolutely. That's so true. I think we can get caught up in the other things, and it comes down to you've got to enjoy it, and you got to figure that out. And it's
Yeah,
different aspects in the event world. I take things away every day that are different, that are things that I enjoy with what I do. So,
absolutely.
well, thank you so much for being here today. Could you also make sure and share out with the listeners where they can follow you and your work?
Absolutely. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, Pashara Black, and I'm happy to chat more.
Awesome. Pashara, thank you so much for joining us and reminding us that purpose and impact aren't separate from business success, that they actually enhance it. Thank you so much for today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.